Hey everyone, welcome back to another PvP showcase, where today we're going to be looking at illegal Spirasol. Now, the reason why I'm saying illegal is because Spirasol has something it technically shouldn't have, along with a few other doodles that also shouldn't have their moves, but there is a secret way. I don't think a lot of people know, but there's a decent amount of people, at least people in, that do PvP and come here often, may or may not know. Or they probably know, but a lot of people, they don't know about this. So yeah, we're gonna be showcasing it. Anyway, now although Spirasol itself is honestly illegal, you can't use it in ranked or anything. We're using it in, like, I don't know, regular battles, not competitive, because yeah, it's illegal. So the illegal doodle has an illegal move. Crazy, right? But yeah. Anyway, what we're showcasing is, we'll get to them in a moment, but here is, I have no reason, Enchanted Ruby. You'll see why in a second. We have attack and speed investment. Obviously we want attack, speed, pretty nice. Although this doodle isn't specifically fast, Rapier, its signature trait makes it that it does a little bit more damage with priority moves. Now, here's the, like, I don't know, the whole thing about this thing that I actually got. That's the only reason it's different from my other Spirasol video. You got its signature move, light speed flurry. Now I'll get into that in a moment, but we have Unguarded Strike, Swift Hook, Serrated Claws. Okay, so Unguarded Strike is like strong melee stab. Swift Hook is priority melee stab, and then Serrated Claws is just for like coverage against like food types specifically, and I guess plant types too. But most of the time you're probably not going to be clicking it. The only things you're probably going to be clicking are these two moves. Now light speed flurry is Spirasol's signature move, like I already said. This is basically extreme speed, but light type, so that means it's stab for Spirasol, and it also stacks with the Rapier too. Then we're also stacking with Enchanted Ruby. Now, the best part about this move is that it's +2 priority instead of +1. Now, FTL Assault itself is +1 priority, even though it's extreme speed. I think that's supposed to be +2 priority in Pokemon, at least that version, extreme speed. This one is basically FTL Assault, but on steroids, because I think FTL Assault has 80 base power, but this has 75 base power. But if you're also stacking it with Rapier, it becomes a 90 base power move, and then you have all these. Not to mention, Spirasol also has a pretty high attack stat, so yeah, and that's basically why Spirasol is probably going to be, probably nerfed the moment this action becomes legal, like in actual competitive. I don't think we're going to be seeing Spirasol or Quosu or Spirayu for a while, but yeah, just keep that in mind. And then we're using Decorated Hair Clip, Ruby Pendant, and Shoot Up Bone. If you really wanted to, you could invest more in your attack. You don't have to run speed if you really don't want to, because this thing isn't that fast. You want to just like nuke with Swift Hook and light speed flurry. Those are the only two moves you're probably going to end up clicking, but yeah, that's basically it about this illegal Spirasol. Oh wait, let me also show you guys how to get this thing. So it's literally just over here, doodles for sale. Every single week there's new doodles, so there may or may not be an illegal doodle. You never know. You should always check it every Thursday, because that's when it resets. Now here's the Spirasol you buy for 50 VP. Yeah, there's also my Tough Lays. They got Raging Bonfire, which is also illegal, so just make sure that you check this every so often, every week, see if there's something new, something cool. I'll probably update you guys on it if it's like noteworthy, like Spirasol. Even though it's illegal, it's very, very powerful. Anyway, let's off with the first battle.
We'll be right back.